Hey guys, we are going to be talking about the brand new VISEART Rosé Edit palette. It is a mini 12 pan palette that VISEART just came out with. I believe it is part of their permanent line, and VISEART was kind enough to send me this palette for review along with the Warm Edit palette, which I will review in a separate video. So if you're interested in more details on this palette, like a close-up of the palette, swatches, I'm also going to let you know which shades in here are brand new and which shades are already existing in other VISEART palettes, and then we're going to do a demo. So why don't we go ahead and just jump right in. The palette comes in this box. It has a beautiful picture of the palette on top, and then it has all the names of the shades on the back. And then here is the outside packaging of the palette. This palette is designed much like their Petite Pro palettes. It's just a little bit larger. And let me just hold it up next to the Warm Edit palette. So you can see that they're color coded, which makes them easier to find in your drawer. And so this just flips up, it's magnetized. And then it flips open. There's a mirror on the inside. This folds all the way back so that you can kind of hold on to this palette more easily. And then it comes with this nice protective plastic cover that you can just pull right off. So here is a close-up of the palette. So this palette has 6 matte shades, 2 shimmer shades, 3 duochrome shades, and 1 metallic shade. And I'll point out which is which when we go through the swatches, which let's go ahead and do right now. So I swatched them going across the top from left to right, and then the middle row, and then the bottom row. So along the top row, we have Rendezvous, and this is a pre-existing shade. It is part of the Tryst palette, and this is a shimmer finish. The second shade is Ballet, which appears in the Grand Pro 1 palette, and this is a matte shade. Peony is that soft peach shade, which has a matte finish, and this is a brand new shade. And then next we have Chocolate, which is a matte shade, which exists in the Neutral Mattes eyeshadow palette. Next we have Wisteria, which is a bright lavender, and this has a duochrome finish, and this is a brand new shade. Rosette is a brand new shade and has a matte finish. Next we have Cafe, which is a medium brown matte shade, and this exists in the Neutral Mattes palette. And then we have Pesh, which is a light beige with a matte finish, and this also exists in the Neutral Mattes palette. And then we have Rosé, which is brand new. It's a medium red with a duochrome finish. Then we have Blossom, which is also new. It's a shimmering rose gold with a duochrome finish. Then we have Truffle, which is a shimmer finish shade. It's earthy brown, and it is also brand new. And then last we have Splendor, which is a deep pink gold with a metallic finish, and this is also brand new. So here's a graphic of the palette, and what I've done is just circled all of the brand new shades. So there are 7 brand new shades and 5 repeats in this palette. So in terms of the format of this palette, this is kind of a brand new idea for VISEART. So they have a very similar palette to this, which is their Petite Pro palette. They have 5 versions of this at this point, and these are smaller. They are more like business card size, and they have 8 shadows instead of 12. Here they are side by side, and you can see that the pan size is exactly the same, and these new edit palettes are basically just an extra row of these Petite Pro palettes. This palette is also magnetized. All of these pans can just pop out. You can see little divots right here, which make it really easy for your finger to fit in and for you to kind of just scoop the shadows out. I am personally loving the idea of these edit palettes. I love these Petite Pro palettes for travel. I think they're really, really handy. And these are not that much larger. And if you want just a little bit more variety in what you're bringing with you, I think this is wonderful. So I am a huge, huge fan of this extension to their line. I love that they've come out with this format, but with an extra row, giving us 12 shadows. We have a lot of variety in this one little palette now, and we have both mattes and like shimmery metallic shades, which gives you so many options for different looks. And I'm just taking a guess here, but I'm guessing the average consumer probably doesn't go through one of their regular pans of eyeshadow that quickly, if ever. And these pans are much smaller. So there is a total of, let's see, there's a total of 8 grams of product in this edit palette. And in their regular 12 pan eyeshadow palettes, there's 24 grams. So these are 3 times the amount of product of this. And this to me just seems like a little bit more appropriate for the everyday user. And something I've always mentioned when I've talked about the Petite Pro palettes, the ones with the 8 little pans in there, is that I think it's just a great first step into the world of VISEART. If maybe the regular 12 pan palettes were just a little bit too intimidating, maybe they're just too big. I think the same thing of these. These are still very, very like manageable. These are still very palatable. They're not too overwhelming. There's 12 different shades, but the fact that it's in this smaller format, I feel like just makes them a little bit more approachable. So I love this new format. I really hope they come out with more of these. Again, I'll be talking about the Warm Edit, which is the other new release that they came out with. So why don't we go ahead and apply this to my eyes together. And I basically have most of my makeup down except for lips. I have brows, foundation, concealer, powder, all that stuff. I even have cheek products down. So I do already have some makeup down. I basically have like concealer and powder down on my eyelids. So I'm going to start by going into Pesh, which is this matte color here. I am going to lay this down all over my lid. Next, I'm going to go into Cafe, which is this like medium brown matte shade. And I'm going to start to add a bit of dimension to the outer corner of my eye and my socket line area. I'm going to go into this Rosette shade, which is new to this palette. And I'm going to add this towards the outer portion of my eye, kind of blending it on top of that Cafe color and then bringing it towards the center here. And I'm using like a very little amount of product. These VISEART matte shadows, well, all their shadows are really pigmented, so I like to build them up slowly. Next, I'm going to take a flat shader brush and I'm going to go into Rosé, which is one of the new shades, and it has a duochrome finish. I'm going to apply this basically to the rest of my lid here and blend it towards that Rosette shade. Just going to take my blender brush and just run it across the top here. So I'm going to add even more dimension to like the outer corners of my eyes. I'm going to go into this chocolate matte shade. I'm going to take my Esom W36 brush and I'm just going to place and flick. And then I'm just going to go into this Rendezvous color, which is this really light pink crystal-y shade up here. And I'm just going to add just a little bit to the inner portion of my lid and just kind of lighten up that area a bit. I like the way that looks much more now. I'm just going to take a liner brush and go back into chocolate and line my eyes. Just taking a small, like really small flat shader brush, I'm going back into this rosé color and I just want to add a little bit to my lower lash line. So I'm just adding it right underneath where I added the matte dark brown color, the chocolate color. And that is it for the eyeshadow. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up my makeup off camera and I'll be right back. All right, here is my finished look. I will list everything down below in my description box that I have on my face. I just wanted to wrap this video up by saying I really love these edit palettes. I am such a huge fan of VISEART shadows. I have to admit, any format that they are going to release with their shadows, I think I'm going to really enjoy. But there's something about this size, the amount of shadows, the variety of the shadows in here, but the really strong color story is so appealing to me for this particular rosé edit. I just think it is fantastic. I look at this and I think immediately of all the different looks that I can do. You can do like a neutral look. You can do one that's a little bit more pinky like I did. You can do one that's like more pinky purple. You can do one that's more pinky peach and red. I just think it's great. There's just so many different options that you have in this really compact palette. So I just really appreciate it. I love that you can pop these out. You can play around with this and the Warm Edit if you decide to get both, or if you have maybe some of their previous Petit Pro palettes. You can kind of make your own, and I really appreciate that about the VISEART palettes. They're Theory palettes, they're magnetic palettes now. They've just come out with singles. I just did a video on that. I will try and remember to link it down below in my description box or up here in a card. But that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Please let me know if you have any comments down below in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you in my next video.